find it anytime it's on our lovely website.
I said, what do you guys think you should do with this before?
Yeah.
You just did one from the picture.
For,
Look similar.
or would you like? Well, I'll write it. Yeah. It's only, if you're, definitely nice. When you're done with
I
it.
think that's a good, if you mind, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure that you get it in electronic.
Right, I know.
Me?
Will that be, I mean.
I know. My kids never were talking about
I know.
we're also like 10 degrees cooler. I only need about like 2 miles. No, this week it was fine, but I only have to go a couple miles. It was some people come up last week. We had an being shot in the water at the beach. I saw people come up from like car said like Rochester, but they had that inflatable tire, and it was just downright cold. I know they didn't wear those when they left.
She hesitated, didn't she?
No, it's true.
So I think that should be.
Just knock me off the chair to this side.
I was like way over here, I didn't realize that.
Put this one.
Good evening, and calling the meeting to order. Please join us for the pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Motion was made by Commissioner Glissman to approve the agenda. Is there support?
Support.
And supported by Commissioner Brady. Is there discussion? Hear none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. Now for the minutes. Somebody make a motion?
Nobody wants to do that, right? I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Glissman and supported by Commissioner Atwood. Is there discussion? All good. Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. And now for the consent agenda. Oh,
Public comments.
public comments. I'm just whipping along. Public comments. Would you like that?
Good evening, I'm Karen Lackey. I live on South Saginaw here in Lapeer, and I would like to offer up a prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for those in leadership over our city of Lapeer and its people. May all those who govern this city rule justly and with unified purpose. We pray for strength and blessing for them and their families. We ask you, Father, to fill our city governmental leaders with wisdom, understanding, discernment, and knowledge. Grant them favor, increase their faith, and prepare them to pursue your excellence. Draw them to you and cause them to know and fulfill your purposes. Please place people in their path that will provide scriptural, sound, and godly counsel, for without your counsel, their plans will go awry. Impart your wisdom and revelation to them about leadership and help them to lead. Deal with our leaders about keeping their hearts and motives pure. We ask you to make their hearts pliable, willing, and obedient to your will. Cause each of their lives to glorify your name. We thank you again for this council, our mayor, our city staff, our first responders, our hospital staff, and all those who work to make this place we call home such a flourishing city. We ask and pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Are there any other public comments? Mr. Hagendel.
Greetings from the county. I have four things I'd like to discuss tonight. First off is Thursday, we will be voting on the final approval for county surveyor to do remonumentation throughout the county. That is something that's been neglected for 30. That's where they go to a four-way intersection and figure out where exactly the right-of-way is. Something that was new to me. I didn't know what it was. We will be approving the Carpel service for the prosecuting attorney for another year. That's the $14,625. And then I hope to make you happy, Mr. Womack, as well as the citizens of the city of Lapeer, that I have fought and have got it placed on the agenda for Thursday to give June 13th Committee of the Whole the authority to act on millage rates. So we're not waiting till the end of June, therefore screwing over the citizens of my district, because I got it from Oregon Township Treasurer and Mayfield Township Treasurer as well last year. And then final thing, we approved the CMH needs assessment at our last full board. And one statistic that really stood out to me that I think all of you should be aware of is Lapeer County has double the veteran population that the state averages. The state average is 5%, Lapeer County is at 10%. So I urge you to vote yes on the veterans millage in August. And that is all that I have for my report tonight. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Okay, we'll move on to the rest of our agenda then. For the consent agenda.
Can we pull 10 and 12 out of the consent agenda, just for some discussion?
Sure can. So a motion to pull number 10 and number 12.
I make a motion to pull 10 and 12 from the consent agenda.
Is there support? Support. And supported. So motion was made by Commissioner Petrie and supported by Commissioner Glissman. Discussion.
Are we,
We're just pulling at that point.
okay, so
Then
this
we'll go
isn't
back.
for approval of the others, this is just,
No, because it's one motion to pull and we can go back.
You can do it in one motion.
No,
If you want.
We've already done this part. 10 and 12 will be voted on later or discussed later. So motion was made and supported. All those in favor of pulling 10 and 12?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that motion's carried. So now for the rest of the consent, which will be 1, 2, 3 through 9, and then 11 and 13. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. The motion has been made by Commissioner Glissman. Is there
support.
and supported by Commissioner Atwood? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion is carried. Now for, do you want to take them one at a time?
Yeah, I just,
Commissioner Petrie? Okay, so number 10 then.
the DTE easement right away, I wondered if that has, it's the same property that we made some changes on for gravel driveway and that, am I correct on that? Same property?
I don't remember making any changes to a gravel driveway.
We did, they came and presented to us, they needed gravel instead of a paved driveway.
So those are two different properties.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yep, so the property you're talking about was in front of the planning commission, and they wanted to put in a gravel driveway, which reduces the amount of potential electric movement through the ground. This property is city-owned property to the immediate northeast, and there's an existing 100-foot wide easement where a power line runs through along the city's property. And obviously it'll connect to that piece of property. And what they're asking for here is basically enlarging that right of way, I think it's about 10 feet, from 100 to about 110 feet. And what they're doing is that there is a pole right there, and they want to put some guy wires on either side. And of course, I'm not an engineer, but apparently the guy wires just went about 5 foot too wide on either side. So they wanted to extend it about 5 feet on either side, to put guy wires and anchors in.
And so my next question is, will that impede on any future sale that if we're, or need that property? Because isn't it supposed to be underground stuff they're doing, or?
No, so this is all above ground, and the existing high voltage wires are above ground as well. I went out to the site and about 5 feet on either side, it's going to impact it. Now this is on the rear side of the city's property, and on the east side, I believe, is the cemetery that's out there, along with the mountain biking trails that go through there. So I don't anticipate any building on the east side of it. So really, we're talking about 55-foot easement on the west side of the property. It's about a 5-6 acre plot, so I don't think it's going to impact anything.
That's all I wondered if our city attorney looked at that contract with GT.
Right away at John Connolly.
No second.
Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Brady and supported by Commissioner Petrie. Further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Number 12.
I just wanted to ask Denise, I know that some issues with Mr. Zockin's gone back and forth. I just wondered why he wants to, what his plans are, why he wants to put it back to the original.
As far as I know, he had a plan to build a building across all the properties. So we required them to be combined into one property. That plan has since been abandoned. So now he's going to keep the one building where it is, and he would like to separate the vacant lots to sell or develop.
And just to build on that just a little bit, so Ms. Marinelli and I talked about this specific issue, and of course, it's his property, he can do whatever he wants to within legal bounds. And this is a legal procedure as far as we can tell, but we personally disagree with it because we think that by making this a smaller piece of property, it reduces its marketability and buildability. So we disagree with it, but legally he has a right to do it.
Does anybody know what he intends on doing with that, or?
No, as Ms. Marinelli indicated, I think originally this was going to be a marijuana business, and then I think this is now an apartment complex he's building there.
The building that's there on Court Street will be an apartment complex. And then I believe he wants to sell off the Howard Street property, which is vacant,
Which is zoned what?
but industrial. They're all zoned industrial there. So basically, he took the platted lots, he put them together. Now he wants to make them the way it was platted originally. He wants to undo what he did.
And do you know how big the piece of property is on Howard Street that's industrial, like?
Not offhand, but there's maps in your packet.
Okay, I just wondered what it is.
I have a question. It seems that he wanted to take the building that he now owns and its rental and increase the amount of apartments within that building. Is that still something he's planning on doing?
I believe he's still working with the planning commission perhaps on that, but that's the last we heard from him.
I believe, one of the handsomest persons on the planning commission told him not to come back until he had more complete plans.
The handsomest?
The handsomest.
Okay.
The lots are 60 feet.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the commission? Commissioner Brady?
I understand that he can legally do what he wants to do with his own property. Are we legally allowed to tell him that he can keep the property the way that it is? Like, are we?
We certainly can tell him that you can keep the way it is, but as far as I can tell, we can't force him to.
Okay. I just seems confusing to me that if he can do it, then he's asking us.
So, and again, this gets complicated quickly, but there is, Ms. Marinelli, what's the state law called? The Land Division Act?
Yeah.
So the state law Land Division Act has all sorts of requirements about how property can be shaped and how it has to touch right-of-ways and all sorts of things. So he could theoretically have combined all the properties and then done some weird, change up of how you want to sell it. And we would have had to take a good, long, hard look at that.
But this just goes back to what it was.
Correct.
Okay.
Will he have parking room when he finally finishes his apartments for everyone that would be renting? There's room for that?
So this would be part of the approval through the planning commission. Again, I don't know exactly what the city's ordinances say, but normally if you have an apartment, you have to have a minimum of 2 parking spaces. So, if he ends up having 10 apartments, he'll need 20 parking spaces, and he doesn't have 20 parking spaces, he doesn't get 10 apartments.
Okay.
Is there a motion to approve?
Madam Mayor, motion to approve number 12 in the consent agenda.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion was made by Commissioner Swindell and supported by Commissioner Glissman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Keep bill listing.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the bill listing for May 20th, 2024, in the amount of $407,908.18.
Support.
Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Swindell and supported by Commissioner Glissman. Discussion. Commissioner-
I just have a quick question. In scrolling through the bill listing, my employer is on there. Should I sustain from voting?
Recuse, but, and
It's for work that was done, I think, to one of the vehicles.
yeah, so the city attorney could take his turn on his opinion here, but,
Go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say, so my opinion is that, recusal is largely identifying the possible conflict of interest. And then, making the board aware of it. But largely, at least from my reading of the law, recusal is independently a decision for each independent council person to make for themselves. So if you feel like there is a potential conflict of interest, then yes, you can recuse yourself, but this is a thing that we do on a normal basis. You had nothing to do with it. I don't think anybody in the room could even rightly accuse you of having anything to do with it. So from that perspective, I don't see a conflict of interest.
I agree. You're not an owner of the business.
No.
Correct? No direct financial gain by whether this bill gets approved or disapproved. I agree with Mr. Womack's.
Okay. I just wanted to bring it up and make sure everyone was aware.
And we appreciate that.
All right, then, it's a roll call roll. Ramona, please.
Commissioner Atwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Brady,
Yes.
Commissioner Glissman,
Yes.
Commissioner Petrie,
Yes.
Commissioner Swindell.
Yes.
That motion is carried. In your packet, you have paperwork under a budget amendment for 2023 to 2024. Commissioner Brady.
Motion to approve the budget amendment for the fiscal year 23-24 as presented.
Motion was made by Commissioner Brady and supported by Commissioner Petrie. Is there discussion? Okay. Hearing none, roll call vote?
Commissioner Brady,
Yes.
Commissioner Glistman,
Yes.
Commissioner Petrie,
Yes.
Commissioner Swindell,
Yes.
Commissioner Atwood.
Yes.
Motion's carried. Then, G2 is, purchase of, equipment. Caterpillar. Loader.
Mayor,
Commissioner Brady.
motion to approve the purchase of the cat loader as presented.
Support.
Okay, motion was made by, Commissioner Brady and supported by Commissioner Atwood. Is there discussion on this? Commissioner Petrie.
Am I wrong? Do we not have a policy that we're supposed to get 3 bids on this kind of thing? I know that's the piece of equipment they want, but for transparency reasons, shouldn't we be?
I think that's
So,
projects.
yeah, so I mean, purchase policies are always complicated for cities. And obviously, I think the majority reason why you have purchase policies is to prevent graft and prevent inappropriate use of funding. Unfortunately, in the world of municipal government, there's a lot of proprietary type stuff, and Caterpillar sales are really only done by a very, very small group of dealerships. It's not like a Ford dealership where you can go down to any Ford dealership in the area. Jeff, do you know of how many cat dealerships are around?
I only know of 2 that I know of that are even close by. And the closest one, there's one down towards Detroit, and then we have one up at Saginaw.
And did you use your best efforts to obtain the best price that you could?
Oh, yeah, definitely. If we would have waited until July 1st to commit this, we're not purchasing this. They're taking possession until after July 1st, because it's coming out of the next fiscal budget. But this was just a commitment to lock us in on it. And another reason why we had to use CAT instead of CASE or anything like that is because all our attachments we have for the other CAT loader could use right on this one. The transfer over.
And one more question, I wondered if our city attorney looked at the agreement.
I did, and it is fine. And just on the question that you asked before, the charter actually provides if the city commission or the city manager determines that competitive bidding would not be advantageous to the city, like in a sole source kind of contract like this, then bidding is not required under the charter.
Motion to approve.
I made a motion.
You made the motion. So we'll call vote then.
Commissioner Glistman,
Yes.
Commissioner Petrie,
Yes.
Commissioner Swindell,
Yes.
Commissioner Atwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Brady.
Yes.
Motion approved. Okay, the next one is the Road and Park Pathway Project.
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner Swindell.
make a motion to approve adding additional scope items to Round Park Linear Pathway Project funded by the Spark Grant not to exceed $389,685.20. The remaining grant balance.
Support.
Okay, motion was made by Commissioner Swindell and supported by Commissioner Glistman. Is there any discussion on that project?
Question.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask, because I'm trying to look at the map. I'm watching the additional trail that they're gonna build. I'm wondering, Rodney, does it impede at all with the sledding hill? Because that is important to a lot of people.
No.
Because I couldn't see how far down it is, and I know there's a hill there by the driveway, so how close to the,
It won't be anywhere near the hill really. It's gonna be adjacent to the existing driveway
Yeah.
and then in a loop, or kind of around by there's like a little entryway where they have like extra parking.
Right.
Like a little access point, they'll connect to that point.
so it doesn't even
Won't even-
interfere with the marsh or anything that's at the end of its Cabana?
It's gonna go around the marsh, but
Okay,
it shouldn't affect the sledding hill at all.
okay, good.
Okay, any other questions? Commissioner Brady?
I just want to say that I actually asked for them to put in a stairway so that the kids could walk up the hill. And then I also started researching the magic carpets that they have, and they're on a budget, but I like the sledding hill, and I thought the same thing. That's like a major, I think it's an improvement. If you get people, especially little kids on that side of the hill, if you can get them to kind of walk over and use the sledding or use the pathway, it'll be helpful.
Will there be snow removal in the winter on that pathway?
I mean, we haven't discussed that much far ahead, but yes.
So for what it's worth, Rodney's done an excellent job, I think, on this project. And I mean, you see the dollar amount that's left over of grant money. So he very wisely plowed ahead and got this extra work being proposed to be done. So it's basically going to asphalt the entire parking lot, paint all the parking lot lines, which is great because I had the DPW set to do that. We'll save some money there. And they have this extra pathway. So I think there's still going to be some money left over. And we don't know if we can find an additional project that's approvable for that money. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we left like, there's about there should be about $100,000 left over, but we kind of left that as a contingency. And then at that point, once we know how much it's going to cost us exactly, we'll try to come up with some other plans to spend it.
How about one of those road
I will
tows?
spend it.
I mean, if they-
So, well, as of right now, the state's only approved the parking lot and the pathway. So,
Yeah, so because it's grant dollars, it has to be approved of through the state, through their machinations, so. But I just wanted to point out that Rodney did a great job on this.
Do you know when that project for the parking lot and that extra trail might start?
in the fall, we'll have to,
Okay. So the park will open again relatively soon, as soon as they are
Yeah.
finished.
June 1st-ish is when
have
we're
the
going to be
absolute
completed.
latest.
Okay, thank you, that's what I need to know.
I'm sure Facebook will announce it shortly.
Commissioner Atwood, but I don't look at that anymore.
Did this grant come with like a timeline of when you have to spend funds? I
Well,
don't remember.
sure, but, Rodney's doing his best to spend it for us. But as he just indicated, engineers and then state approval and whatnot.
I think we had like, I want to say 5 years come to mind, but maybe it's 3 years. We're way ahead of the game compared to other communities that got the grant.
Okay.
Was this Spark grant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smart grant.
Any more questions? Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Petrie,
Yes.
Commissioner Swindell,
Yes.
Commissioner Atwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Brady,
Yes.
Commissioner Glistman,
Yes.
Motion's carried. Number 4, the sidewalk repair replacement. Project,
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner Brady.
motion to approve the contract with Precision Concrete Cutting for sidewalk repair and replacement not to exceed $35,000 and authorize DPW director and the city manager to sign on behalf of the city.
Motion was made by Commissioner Brady and supported by Commissioner Petrie. Any discussion on this one? Okay, hearing none, it's a roll call vote.
Commissioner Swindell,
Yes.
Commissioner Atwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Brady,
Yes.
Commissioner Glistman,
Yes.
Commissioner Petrie.
Yes.
Motion's carried. Parking lot number 5.
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner Swindell.
make a motion to approve the proposal from TG Prize Asphalt presented for parking lot number 5, repaved drainage improvement, green space creation not to exceed $271,850. Authorize DPW director and city manager to sign on behalf of the city.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Swindell and supported by Commissioner Atwood. The discussion on this one. Commissioner Petrie.
Again, what about the 3 bids on this project? Because it's a lot of money.
Yep. So, so policy creation and implementation it's complicated, of course. And you're absolutely right. We should be getting 3 bids for everything. We should be following the policies to a T every time. However, Prees does a ton of asphalt work here in the city. They're one of our trusted contractors. And we believe that every time we go to them, we're getting a fair price. And Mr. Graham, I'm sure you can rattle off the number of projects that they've done here in the community, but One of the other projects I know that they're doing around about the same time is the cemetery roads. So part of the reason we went to Prees was because we knew they'd be in town for the cemetery roads about the same time as this project, and because of all the other projects they do. Now, as I recall, we also had quotes from the city engineer on this parking lot for, I believe it was $1.2 million and then $800,000. So, staff, we thought those numbers were extremely high. So we went to one of our trusted contractors to get a price estimate for what we thought, would be a more reasonable cost. And I believe Prees Asphalt gave us two quotes. One was for $185,000, and that was without all the drainage work and the creation of the green space. And then this updated quote for $271,850. So you're absolutely right. We probably should and could get three quotes into the future, but they're one of our trusted asphalt companies. And sometimes contractors don't like it when you get them, ask them to give you a quote estimate and then go with somebody else, right? So, yeah, there's some give and take on that. It's not a perfect system, but I think we got a fair price quote.
I have a question. It seems to me that we discussed this at length in a meeting that we had a long time ago. Did they tell you how long we can expect this asphalt to be in good shape? Did they guarantee you so many years?
Well, I think they always guarantee 1 year.
Oh, good.
Well, I mean, you joke, but sometimes they do a poor job at models within a year, so you do get it fixed. One of the reasons we went out and got this quote was because of the patch that was previously done in that parking lot for the outdoor skating rink. So again, I wasn't here for that, but it's now been 3 or 4 years since that patch was put in. I was out there just a couple days ago. It's the only nice part of that parking lot. And, so that's 4 years on a patch. This will be done significantly nicer. But, there's a cost versus quality issue. Would a fully engineered parking lot last a little bit longer? Maybe. But it was also 3 times the price. So I hate to be extremely pragmatic about it, but this could fail in 5 years and we could do it 2 more times for the same price of the engineered one. My suspicion is you're going to see 10 to 15 years of good quality life out of this.
Any more questions?
Yeah. So it says staff will likely need engineering assistance to complete the Eagle requirements, so will there be an additional cost?
Yeah, there will be, and we anticipated that, because anytime you do any kind of work in a floodplain, Eagle always wants to charge you time and money for it. Now, of course, we could go with Rowe, they're our city engineer. We could also open this up to other contract services, which, by the way, that's one of the things I'd like to do in the near future is start putting together a list of preferred vendors for some of this stuff. Which I think will make our jobs a little bit easier for getting 3 bids. Identify local vendors that we work with regularly on a good basis for all types of services. So yeah, I anticipated going to Rowe and asking them for assistance, and they're aware of it, right?
So do you know about how much more that we're gonna add to that price?
I don't think we've got a price quote. You guys remember getting a price quote on that?
No, but I can't imagine it being over $5,000.
Yeah. So last time I did something similar to this, it was $3,800.
Any more questions?
What do we have,
Commissioner Allen?
what do we have budgeted for this?
300.
So within that amount. Anybody else? Okay, this would be a roll call vote.
Commissioner Atwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Brady,
Yes.
Commissioner Glistman,
Yes.
Commissioner Petrie,
No.
Commissioner Swindell.
Yes.
And for Mr. Hogan, we don't plan to do this before Lapeer Days. We want to make sure that they have full parking lot use until after Lapeer Days is here.
Motion is carried.
Sorry, Madam Mayor. I didn't want the chamber thinking we're stealing half their parking lot this year.
That's right. Okay, well, so now it is a time for your report, Mr. Womack.
Yes, so Freshwater Gardens, I'll bring up my computer here. So getting so into it, just, in the moment.
Parking lots, city managers and parking lots.
All right. So, as you guys are aware, the city staff have been working with a company called Freshwater Gardens. And I'm trying to put together a land swap deal with them. They own some property over on Genesee Street. We own some property on the John Conley Business Park. I think we have a decent deal put together. We do have to iron out some of the final details. But I want authorization from the commission to continue that work as a sign of support for the work that we're doing. And I hope that within the next couple of weeks, we'll have a deal that staff and the opposing side have agreed to, which we would then bring back to the commission for final approval.
Okay.
Mr. Francis, do you have anything to add to that?
You want to add in?
No, I think that's accurate. Mr. Womack's been heavily involved in the, excuse me, the owners. I just want to make sure they don't go too far down the path if the city commission isn't on board with the general idea.
Have we had appraisals on both parcels of property?
We have from multiple different sources, but it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. Anything else in the report?
Not for that item.
Did you have a question on that?
I do.
Commissioner
Go ahead.
Petrie?
I was just wondering if what action are we looking to take?
I think I put it into my memo here. I'm just looking for authorization for the city manager to continue negotiations with Freshwater Gardens to develop a proposed land swap deal. Just looking for authorization from the city commission to continue negotiations.
We should get that out there before we discuss.
Yes, we would need a motion for the discussion. Commissioner Brady.
I feel like I read it, I just have only the agenda.
How about a motion to authorize the city manager to continue negotiations with Freshwater Gardens to develop a proposed land swap?
Motion to authorize the city manager to continue negotiations on the proposed land swap with Freshwater Gardens.
Support. Motion was made by Commissioner Brady and supported by Commissioner Swindell. Further discussion? Commissioner Petrie?
I really want Mr. Francis in lockstep with Mike.
I am. I've been involved in that.
I just don't have any reports on it, so it would help me in the future if decisions are supposed to be made. I would love to know what we're doing and.
So just, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but any decision on a final land swap deal will be brought back to the commission. They were looking for just to know that we're generally okay with the idea. But Mr. Womack's been heavily involved. I've been in meetings with him, and a representation from the landowner. So I've been involved. But this is not approving a land swap. This is just putting a little bit of support behind the idea.
And are we certain that this land swap is gonna settle our situation? Or is it just a possibility?
It will if it's approved. I mean, that's what's in discussions right now.
And I know that appraisals can be complicated, but I work for an appraisal brokerage firm, so I would like to know the values of the two land. Because I know that this Freshwater put a lot of money into the Genesee property. So I'm curious as to why I'd like to know the value.
Well,
So
this is
that,
just under the city manager's report. I would imagine that before any vote is done, they're gonna be giving us all that information in our packet, correct?
Well, I mean,
As much as you can, because this is an ongoing court case.
the whole point is that I'm negotiating, I'm attempting to get the best value for the city, not for Freshwater Gardens. So I will do the best that I can, and then that will be brought back to you guys, along with any relevant information that you deem necessary or appropriate.
I just have a question. If freshwater, of course, you have to negotiate with them yet, but if Freshwater Gardens, let's say, decides, no, they don't want a different property, where does it leave the city with the lawsuit?
Well, so the whole point of this authorization is that they've submitted a letter indicating that they do want to move forward with what we're proposing.
Okay.
So we just have to cross the Ts, dot the Is, and come up with an equitable solution that we can all agree to. And then it will come back to the city commission for approval on our side. But of course, you're right, there's always that possibility that they might say, Mike, we don't like the look of your face anymore, and we're not going to move forward. But I doubt that, because I am the handsomest planning commission member.
Okay.
So that zoning out there, it meets the guidelines of our buffers, all of that, because we do have a buffer.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so motion is on the floor, directing our city manager to continue to move forward. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Anything else under your report right now?
I don't think so.
Then, we have our city attorney's report.
Would have discussed Freshwater Gardens, but I don't have anything to add to that. We are pursuing other matters that have been discussed at meetings, but those are also in the legal process. I don't care to discuss those in too much detail out here, but we are moving forward.
And that is it for your report?
It is, thank you.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
sorry.
Under, for our boards and commissions, seats, there's nothing to approve tonight. No requests have been submitted, but we still have opening for County Center Board, EDC Tipper Brownfield, 2 openings, local, and they're working on that, I know. Local Officers Compensation Commission, Income Tax Board of Review, Prison Liaison Committee, and then an alternate position on the zoning board. So all those would be available, and information's on our website. So if you have some spare time, take a look at it and submit your application. I'm sure there's some people out there who want to help them, city. Okay. We're back to public comments. Would anybody else like to make a public comment? And seeing none, we'll go to commissioner comments. Commissioner Petrie.
Love the weather, which is trivial. I would love to know, like, what our thoughts are as a commission on Mr. Higgins bringing a petition forward because of the odor or lack thereof. We're not doing anything quick enough for them, which I understand they're being affected by that. So I'd like to have some discussion. I don't know.
So
how
you
we're
want it
gonna
on the future agenda? that you
Yeah,
talked about that?
something about how we're
Or
taking
have our
that forward.
manager report on it at a future meeting?
And the other question or comment that I'd like to make is if we can't enforce it here in the city on Genesee Street, and that's why we want to get fresh water out to that other property, are we not gonna enforce it out there in a proper way either, so it would infringe on Chatfield School? I mean, it's fairly close to that school, the prison, the smell. If we're not gonna, I mean, are they gonna control the odor out there too, or are we just transferring it? So I have a lot of concerns, and I have to say it publicly where we're all together. So I was elected to pay attention to what we're doing. I'm not a rubber stamper. I'm asking questions so that I can know, but also the public can be aware of why I'm asking and the answers for that. So I get at least one call a day from people saying, I thought you guys were gonna do something about the smell. So I say, well, we're trying. So how many citations have been written? Do those citations get reported to the state of Michigan? Because what happens other than they pay the fine Where's this guy?
Mr. Brady.
I have no comment.
Commissioner Wilson.
Well, I got comments, of course. The first thing that I want to address is that I want to thank Chief Jeremy Howe and his entire police department for their service to the city of Lapeer. We just ended Police Week, and we are truly blessed to have the officers we have here in Lapeer. Thank you for your service. Stay safe, and God bless you all. I'm looking forward to the summer activities here in Lapeer. It looks like it's a great season ahead for the community. There's a lot on the calendars. Also coming up is Memorial Day weekend, and we owe a lot to our military services. A great number of our men and women gave their lives so that we have unparalleled freedom in this country. May we all remember and honor their sacrifices, especially may we remember whenever we say the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. Our flag is a symbol of their service. And one other thing, it's a bit long, I'm sorry, I apologize for that. And probably my husband Rick and I are the only old people in the room that remember this. But a long time ago, there was a comedian by the name of Red Skelton, and he did the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, you're a young kid. So Red Skelton said, I remember this one teacher, being a teacher, it hits home. To me, he was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time. He had such wisdom. We were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, and he walked over. Mr. Laswell was his name. He said, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems to me as though it has become monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion. To the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there is respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts, freedom is everyone's job. Of the united, that means that we all have come together. States, individual communities that have united into 50 great states, 50 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose, all divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose, and that is love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And the government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands one nation meaning so blessed by God, indivisible and capable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life, without threats, without fear, or some sort of retaliation, and justice, the principle or quality of dealing fairly with others, for all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. So thank you for bearing with me. It's pretty cool. Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Swindell. I have nothing today. Commissioner Atwood.
Yeah, just real quick, I attended the Elected Officials Academy Course Summit with the Michigan Municipal League this past weekend in Mount Pleasant. They actually let me moderate the class. Sorry about their luck. And some of the points were effective public service, essential duties and responsibilities. And, you know, conversing with all the people that were there, there's probably 4, 5 people that had been recently appointed. So after this session, you could kind of feel the weight in the room, and they're like, I felt like they're like, what did I get myself into? When I was reading the room. So I spoke to them about, you know, finding your why, you know, why you want to do this and stick to that. and not have an agenda, I said, if you have an agenda, you're gonna find yourself in trouble. And all these, essential duties, the responsibilities are all important, the laws are all important, but also your why you're doing it is just as important. So the next day they were all happy again. And fundamentals of leadership was another topic, fundamentals of financial management, and then fundamentals of planning and zoning. So they kind of hit all the major topics. So there was a lot of information given out, which I believe I will have access to. So if anybody's interested, I can probably get that to you. And that's it.
Mr. Womack, do you have anything else to add?
I'm just thinking about the Red Skull thing. I was it was Red Skull,
Red Skull?
not Red Green.
Nope, Red Skull, that's old as well.
Well, I got used to watch Red Green. There's a million things I could talk about. I went to the food truck festival this past Monday. Had some very nice dates, including a large red-haired man in the back of the room. Thank you, sir. Including the mayor who's sitting next to me. I got some good food that day. July 5th is going to be Friday this year. I'm thinking about having a staff in-service day. That is a day where we close the doors to the public and we work on record retention. So it's a normal work day for staff, but we would be closed to the public. Other than that, weather's been great. It's been really nice getting a lot of these projects underway. I think the city has a lot to be worked on, and I think the public's going to really appreciate the direction we're taking with all the infrastructure we're going to be upgrading for the next couple of years. Thank you.
Okay, just a couple local events. If you haven't had a chance, visit the Historic Farmers Market. It's 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and that's on Wednesdays and Saturdays at the Historic Courthouse Square. And that's until October 23rd. There's also the East Lapeer Farmers Market from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. That had already started in April, and that's till December 28th, and that's at TFC in Lapeer, down on Inland City Road. Friday Night Bikes will start May 31st, and that's from 6 to 10 p.m. Through August 23rd, excluding the July 5th and August 16th. And then Lapeer Cruise on Nipissing, which there this evening, is every Monday through September 9th. And then there's an annual animal adoption event, and that's June 1st, and that's at the Lapeer County Animal Control Building. That's from 11 to 3, and that's at 2396 West Genesee Street. So if you've been thinking about adopting a dog or a cat, or I'm not sure what else that they might have there, please do so. I know that there's a lot of animals that need a happy home. So, and that is all I have.
Did you mention Memorial Day?
It was in the consent. I can mention that. Please join us for the Memorial Day parade and ceremony. Veterans Park, just right up the road. The parade begins like at 9:30, or lineup for them is at 9:30, so it'll be like 10:30 that they'll be coming down. And then the ceremony itself starts right at 11, or as close to it as they can. That'll last until about 12 o'clock with various speakers. The high school band plays Memorial Day, Veterans Day, that they have singers, so it's nice to listen to the band as well. And there should be about 200 some people. Very nice ceremony. I know that several of the commissioners have been there in the past, and been going for decades. So, okay, so that's it. Anything else? Okay, I declare this meeting closed. Okay,
My dad worked in my township, it's 7. It was 9 or 7 early voters in the 90s. Or my little township, there's like 5,000 people. Quarter is it. Good job for my dad.